Hi, I'm Brian. This is Humble Conviction, and we're going to do the 7 essentials for a killer 30-second pitch. Now, people say that I'm obsessed with 30 seconds. Why 30 seconds for a pitch? Why not 45, 60, 15 seconds? And here's why. It's the natural simulation of the way we actually talk in the real world. So, say you're at a cocktail party and there are investors there or anyone there. They come up and say, "Oh, hey, when your name is Brian, what are you working on?" And therefore, I have one line that's ready to go that describes perfectly what I do. Then they say, "Oh, that's interesting." And what do? I don't give them like an hour. I give them a few more sentences. That's 30 seconds. You have a little back and forth, and hopefully at the end of it, they say, "Oh, well, that's really interesting. I'm an investor. Let's set up a meeting." And there you go. Boom. You've just moved the ball down the field, and that's the next step you want. So let's go over these 7 things. Number one, make sure that your first line is crystal clear and explains exactly what the company does. So the way to think about it is if the lights went out during a presentation after that first sentence, everybody would still know what you do. You don't have to say any of the rest. And actually, I have here, I wrote a really good one for you as an example to make it concrete. So here's a good one. We are an enterprise software company that helps mid-sized e-commerce companies train their AI models like Fortune 500 companies do at a fraction of the price. Let's break that apart and see why it's so good. So I mentioned what it is. It's enterprise software. Who it's for, mid-sized e-commerce companies. What does it do? It trains AI models. And the benefit is that it's both less expensive, but it also, because I mentioned Fortune 500, it suggests that you're getting an increased level of sophistication from what you would usually have. So that's a really great way. And if you heard that, there would be no way to misunderstand what that company does. Even if you have the perfect one-liner, there's no way you can say everything in a 30-second pitch. I know that when you do your investor deck, there's the whole list of 12 things you're supposed to do: market size, competition, traction, your founder bio, your previous companies, all of that. There is no way you can do that in 30 seconds. So the whole goal is to say just enough and leave them wanting more. And that gets me to number 3. The whole goal of this pitch is to get questions, not answers. And here's something that I think of. It's a mindset that's incredibly valuable, almost indispensable. You're going to get a lot of questions, and they're going to seem overwhelming. You're not going to know how to answer. You may not even understand the question, and you may feel under attack. But in fact, the mindset is that every question is a gift. Because think about it. You're not a mind reader. The investor is telling you exactly what they think, what they're interested in, what they're curious about, what they're confused by, what they're skeptical of. You do not have to guess. They are telling you exactly what they want you to say. And that is a gift, and we all love gifts. So don't keep your answers too long. Keep them short, because the less you talk, the more time there is for gifts, and we all love gifts. Number 4, your solution should sound like a magical medicine, not a helpful vitamin. Investors see hundreds of companies. They've seen companies like yours, I guarantee it. But when they see yours, they need to say, "Oh my God, if they can actually build that and build this business around that, that is magic, and it's going to be dripping money." Now, that's a phrase I'm stealing from a favorite investor of mine. I didn't ask her permission, so I'm not going to say who it is, but dripping money. So when you give your explanation of the company, ask someone else, does that sound like a magical medicine? Does it sound magical? Number 5, be incredibly clear why you're different, address the competition, and own that point. The worst thing you can say when an investor asks you about competition is, "Oh, we don't have any competition." Absolutely untrue in every case. You're just going to look stupid if you say that. In fact, the investor has probably seen a competitive company, if they're interested in your space, the day before, the week before. So the best thing to do is make sure you really understand who else is out there in the marketplace. Be super confident about it. Be knowledgeable. There are different examples of companies that are trying to do what you do, and they're different in some ways and similar in other ways. Maybe it's an incumbent big company software that you're trying to displace. Maybe it's another startup. A lot of people say, "Oh, there's a startup, but they're smaller than we are, so they don't matter." Yeah, well, you got to address those guys too. So just be honest with yourself. You've figured this out. You've built this product. I am sure that there are ways that you are different and better, And just make sure that you know what those are and you're prepared to address them. Number 6, if you don't mention traction with your company, investors will assume you have none. I work with so many companies that are super early stage. Their product isn't built yet. They don't have customers. They don't have revenue. They don't even know what they're going to charge for yet. And yet, I'm here to say that every single one of them has some kind of traction they can speak to. They have probably done customer discovery. They probably have a unique insight. Maybe they have an app that's not released yet, but it's slated for release in Q4. Who knows if it's actually going to come out in Q4 or not? But if you're working towards it, you can say it and put it in a positive light. Never lie about your traction, but there's always something you've done. Hell, if you've incorporated the company, then you have some traction and you should mention that. Even if you say, we just incorporated 3 weeks ago and we already have 3 beta users. Now, the beta users could be friends of yours who have tried a wireframe and are excited about the concept. So don't push the truth too far, but there's always something you can point to as traction. And number 7, why are you the best person in the world to build this company? Sometimes it's things you would expect, like your professional experience or your background or the education you have. But in the end, it really is whatever it takes for you to be a reliable narrator to the investor. They should watch you. And frankly, that's a lot of humble conviction. That's why this channel is called Humble Conviction. It's the way you communicate yourself. You should just exude leadership that I'm the right person to run this company. There are examples where great founders have no actual professional background in the area that they're building in. We call them tourists, not settlers. But you can turn that in your advantage. I had a company that's just raised money that I worked with very closely, and it was for seniors or recent retirees who were trying to address loneliness in their lives. And they have a platform that gives them all kinds of activities and social connections. And the founder, she had no background in senior services, in that kind of thing. But what she did have is she had a personal story about how her parents had retired and she saw them out of sorts, not enough to do, lonely, and she said there had to be a better way, so she set out to make a solution for this. And that company got funded. It's a great company. I have very high hopes for it, and despite the lack of a professional background. Those are 7 elements that I see time and again for successful 30-second pitches. Now, you'll notice that it wasn't specific things you need to talk about. It's the ways to talk about the things you choose to include in your 30-second pitch, because you can't include everything, just the things that are going to leave them wanting more, that will get you that second meeting that can eventually lead to investment. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, let's please help spread the word. What do they say on YouTube? They say like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend about it. Whatever you do, let's do some great pitching, pitch strong, and stay humble.